What's going on, Atlanta Falcons fans? Hey, it's Toby D. It's Pound for Pound ATL, and I got my two favorite guys along with me, Mr. Jonathan Holder up over there, and I got JR down here, and we are a little mini Brady bunch coming into this thing this week. And this week we decided we're going to talk about the offense and as a whole, and what we think the offense will look like with Desmond Ridder now taking over a full-time job and not part-time anymore, and how these pieces fit now that we finally know the 53-man roster. As we get ready to find out what the 46-man roster will be on game day next week, and against the Carolina Panthers. And we're going to talk about that Carolina Panthers game a little bit and what we're going to look like on the offensive side of the ball. JR, what's going on, man?
Oh man, living a dream. It is Friday on like we're recording this on a Friday. This video will be out Saturday of the holiday weekend. Hopefully, all y'all are watching this are going to get to relax on Monday. I don't know. I mean, I know I'm going to get to relax on Monday. I got lucky today. Unlike Jonathan, Jonathan got real lucky. Didn't have to do nothing today. Got to be a bum and all that jazz. I got real lucky and was home by 1 o'clock this afternoon with a plate of wings. So I was super happy about
Hey,
that.
getting home with a plate of wings is a pretty good place to be.
Come
Yeah,
on,
there's
don't
this
tempt
little.
me, y'all. Don't tempt me.
Look, all I'm saying is down the road from here, there's this little Louisiana joint that makes some amazing lemon pepper mild wings or lemon pepper hot, whichever one you want, and it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Nice.
I went into work today. I got my Matt Ryan jersey on here, my shirt on, and people like Matt Ryan, man, you need to take that shirt off, man. I can't disrespect one of the best
Oh,
and greatest Atlanta
that's it.
Falcons of all time, baby. You see, I got him up
Yep.
here. Him and Julio
That's it.
Jones,
I
they
mean, look, I'm
two of the
bracketed
best.
by them. Okay,
Yeah,
Yep.
look, you can't deny what them two did for this, for this city for
Yeah.
a what decade plus,
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, no, I will not. They may not have ended in the greatest for either one of them, but while they were here and in their prime, top notch, can't complain.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, go ahead, Jonathan, man.
No, no,
Light it
you,
up
no,
for
you, no, you go, you go ahead, brother.
us. Hey, so as we get into this offense now, knowing what it was last year, it was very limited. I mean, let's just be real. They probably only ran like three passing concepts the whole season with Marcus Mariota's limited behind, running it behind center and shotgun or whatever the case may be. Had a dominant run game. Of course, you had to have a dominant run game because you couldn't run that many passing concepts with Marcus Mariota and his no pass itself. Now, I still remain the same feeling that we should have switched him out after that Browns game. But hey, that's neither here nor there at this point. But where I want to start at is with you, Jonathan. What do you think this offense is going to look like this year with Desmond Ridder full time as opposed to Marcus Mariota running it?
I mean, so my gut feeling is, at least early in the season, is this is going to be a very, very much a ball control offense. Like, can Ritter throw it deep? Yes. And will he get better with that the more he does it? Sure. But I don't think right now that's his strong suit. And so you're going to have a lot of, uh, short, intermediate routes that are ran. Um, when you look at the kind of weapons he's going to be throwing to, he's got a bunch of big guys who make really good targets across the middle. Specifically, like your top three tight ends, really specifically, like Michael Pruitt, Jonnu Smith, Kyle Pitts. You get those three guys out there roaming across the middle of the field, and that's just a lot of big bodies. And so you're going to get, I think you're going to see a lot of like quick passes. You're going to see some shots taken, but I don't think you're going to see, that's not going to be like, we're not going to air it out or anything like that. And then we're going to rely on the run game to hopefully open up our passing game. We're not going to be what you see a lot of offenses are these days, which is they actually throw it early on to then open up the run later on in the game kind of scenario. I think we're going to be very traditional, very old school, if you want to call it that. We're going to pound the rock, probably going to get 3 yards early on in those 3 yard gains, hopefully, if we can stay in it. And go forth. I think that's what we're going to see. Is we're going to see later in the game that running game will take over. Uh, you know, when we're getting big chunks of yardage at that point.
So Jr.,
Hmm.
what you got for us, man? What do you think this offense is going to look like going
This
into
is
this year?
something that I have been thinking about like for the majority of this offseason. Knowing that, especially once we got into camp, knowing that Ridder is your starter, right? So, and looking at it through the eyes of, okay, what have we seen in the past from Arthur Smith, from, Dave Ragone and those guys, and what can we expect this year? They've been here for 2 seasons, and in both seasons, they've had a different offense. Like, in 21 with Matt Ryan and basically no run game, you were throwing the ball, 33 to 35 plus times a game. It's not necessarily the space that Arthur Smith wants to live in, right? Um, Now you go to last year with Marcus Mariota predominantly the entire season, and you went down to 24 passes a game,
Mm-hmm.
averaging. That's
Yep.
also not where Arthur Smith wants to live, right? He doesn't want to be that predictable. I know the narrative for the entire offseason was like, oh, well, they're a run heavy offense. They're run heavy. You're just going off of last year. Like, if
Right.
you want peak performance, peak Arthur Smith, go look at, 2020 Tennessee. 2020 Tennessee, they averaged uh 28 to 29 passes, 28 to 29 runs.
Right.
They
Yep.
had that balance. That's what Arthur Smith is striving for, is balance. So that way he can call, like, you're in, like, when you're balanced in that area, that means you're not in third and long. That means you're not in obvious passing situations the majority of the time. That means you're in, you know, third and three, second and three, second and five, third and five, second, fourth and one, to where your entire playbook is open to you. That's where
Right.
Arthur Smith wants to live, right? And so now you enter Desmond Ridder and you enter Bijan Robinson and you enter Kyle Pitts and Drake London. You look at that, and that is to me, he's finally got what he had in Tennessee. You had two dominant pass catchers in
Mhm.
AJ Brown and Corey Davis. Here now, 23, you have Kyle Pitts and Drake London as your dominant pass catchers. I mean, that one drive we saw out of the starters in preseason, you saw everything with it. To me, not everything, but you saw the philosophy. We hit Kyle. You hit Mac Hollins as a safety blanket. You hit Drake London over the top. You tried to hit Drake London, 3 times on that one drive.
Yeah.
So I think Drake is going to be your primary pass catcher. He's already got a rapport with London. They drafted him to be that. Now you add in Bijan Robinson, who's going to be your Derrick Henry. Like, as far as feeding him the rock, he can do it all. Technically speaking, he can do more than Derrick Henry did because he can catch the ball.
Right.
Reliably catch the ball. Let me put it like that. And so that's going to provide dump offs and check downs for Ridder. I think, concept wise, you're looking at what you've already seen is they're making Ridder comfortable by giving him the plays and formation structures that they ran a lot in college. You've seen a lot of 2x2 formations, a lot of stacked formations.
Right.
You've seen them go from 3x1, then motion into 2x2. We saw them do that in training camp, and then we saw them replicate that in uh, preseason. I think what you had the last 4 games of Ridder was him trying to operate the Mariota offense. It was the
Yeah.
last 4 games of the season. They weren't going to, rewrite the script. Just going to operate with what we have been using, the things that the other guys are used to running, and keep that going. Well, now we've had a whole off season, and I think you're going to see, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, I think you're going to see a lot more 2x2 sets, a lot more 3x1 sets, and a lot more empty sets. In this upcoming season to give Ridder some more comfort. Using the things that they did in Cincinnati. Um,
Right.
so, which we can get into here in a minute. Toby, what do you think of like your bird's eye view? What do you think it's going to be?
So I'm going to tell you, I think this offense is going to run as good as the running backs run. I think this is going to be the security blanket for Desmond Ridder. When you look at the versatility of the running backs that we have versus last year, nothing against Caleb Huntley and nothing against Tyler Algier, but they really weren't known to be pass catchers, right? You look at Cordell Patterson, and this is similarly where I think Bijan Robinson is going to be able to take over. He had 52 receptions for 548 yards and 5 touchdowns in 2021 under Matt Ryan. And I think you have a guy, Desmond Ridder, that's going to rely on these guys like Cordell Patterson and Bijan Robinson, or Bijan Robinson. Sorry, Mama.
Yeah,
Bijan Robinson,
don't get them mad at
uh,
you
to be able to carry the load in the pass catching. Cause that's where I'm most interested at. I wondered how Desmond Ridder was going to be with Cordell Patterson throwing the football when he got in the game, and we saw right off the rip he started hitting Cordell Patterson on passing routes where you didn't see that a lot with Marcus Mariota. When you look at the group as a whole, with Tyler Algier and CP84 and Caleb Huntley, they had 40 pass catches
now.
together as a whole. When Cordell had 52 by himself.
Right.
I think you're going to see that number increase by a large margin. You see Tyler Algier, he's been working on his pass catching. Now, I'm still not seeing him probably being a route runner, but the swing passes and
Mm-hmm.
definitely the check downs and stuff like that, he'll definitely, in the out routes, which
Right.
we saw a lot of in the preseason. I can see these guys really helping Desmond Ridder. And you saw that with Jerome Ford. Uh, in Cincinnati. That running back is the running backs are going to be key for Desmond Ridder's success in the NFL, in my opinion.
You bring up Jerome Ford, and now obviously we feel like uh, Bijan Robinson, like his talent outstrips Jerome Ford, but
Right.
they are a similar style back. You would never put them in the same tier, but it's that 215, 220 ish, like
Yeah.
uh, power plus shiftiness. Like Jerome Ford had that as well. Like I was high on Jerome Ford the year he came out. Last year, again, kind of like we're talking about the talent that was available dictating what you do. You had, there's especially towards the end of the season, you had Tyler Algier, who is a good back, but his best runs are outside zone. And everybody's like, oh, well, Atlanta's an outside zone team. Maybe. It's hard to say that right this minute because last year, what Tyler Algier did the best was run the outside zone. So that's what they did with him. And he did it to a tune of over 1,000 yards. But what you've already seen in this preseason is inside toss.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen inside zone.
Yep.
Like you've seen the running game, even that open up even more because you have a guy like Bijan who can do it all. He
Right.
can run the outside zone tracks. He can take a handoff and run it up the gut for power or run it inside zone. He can do everything, so it's not limiting what they can call and what they can get ready and prepare for. And that's part of what has me excited. Jonathan, what are some of your thoughts on that?
The running game, I feel, it was wide zone because that was what we like. That's what we were good at,
Right.
like from an offensive lineman standpoint. They're not, and this and even now I was still maybe with Bergeron, especially once Bergeron really gets settled in, maybe you're a little bit better equipped to be a little bit more of a power run when you need to be
Mm-hmm.
kind of situation. But I mean, we're still more of a zone blocking
Oh
scheme
yeah.
than anything else. So,
Yeah.
what like you said, Bijan. I'll call him BR just so I don't I don't
BR7.
yeah so I don't get his mom mad at me. But like he can like you said he can do it all. And the in my head, the thing that I'm super duper excited for is you get an entire drive of of like essentially Drake, maybe Mac, Pitts, and then you got Robinson in the backfield, or you got Algier in the backfield with Robinson out in the slot. Those kinds of scenarios where that can all change around to be anything that you need it to be. Like you can
Yeah,
especially Mac Hollins is a bigger guy, Drake London's a bigger guy, so both those guys can come in and block for you in the run game if necessary. So you bring those guys in close along with Kyle Pitts, and those guys, and it's just like everything that you can do. And then like I'm super excited for all of the potential possibilities of what we could see. Um, I really don't. We saw some things that I think you're going to see, like the mesh concept that we saw in the preseason game. You'll probably see that some more, but I think really we haven't seen anything close to what we're going to see throughout the season. It's been very, like you said, the 2x2 stuff. That's very simple stuff.
Yep.
That's very simple. Like you said, it was stuff that was run at Cincinnati that he did a lot of. But I think early in the season we may see that stuff more often than we will later in the season as he's absorbed a lot of information this offseason and through the preseason and training camp and all this stuff. And it's going to take a while for all of that to really absorb and for him to, just start, you know, doing it instead of thinking about it. Right. Just
right.
like any other position. And so as we move through the season, what I hope to see is, yeah, we see a lot of stuff that he was familiar with in college that can make it easier for him to transition into this offense. But then once he gets there, you start building on that. You start adding to it. You start bringing it up so that yes, you still see those things, but they're a little bit fewer and farther in between with some of the newer concepts that we see later on down the road. Uh,
Mhm.
and so that's something that I am super excited to see, like how this offense progresses throughout the year.
Yeah.
So these back shoulder throws about to be dangerous,
Oh,
fellas.
dude.
Um,
I mean, that's one thing
yeah,
that Matt Ryan never
He
really
never
got
really got great at was,
yeah,
for
that
some
back
reason.
shoulder fade. He
yeah,
he
Yeah,
never he just never could place it, and you already see that being a style of throw
right.
that Desmond Ritter
Hmm.
is honing in on. You want to expound on that, Tom?
2011, I think about Aaron Rodgers. That season, man. I mean, I think he threw more back shoulder throws than anybody in the NFL. I remember when they started out the first week against New Orleans, he wore New Orleans out with them back shoulder throws because you don't have no defense for them. And
Right,
when they're thrown perfectly, it's hard for you to catch them. And they are especially great for guys that are not going to blow you away with speed, right?
right.
You can still get guys 30 yards down the field and they may be deadlocked with you with the cornerback, but you can throw these back shoulder throws 30 yards down the field and still get an explosive play. And so I
Mhm.
think you're going to see a lot of that this year, as we saw that with that huge play with to Drake London from Desmond Ridder. You're going to see a lot more of that with guys like Mac Hollins, with guys like Kyle Pitts. You're going to see more seam routes. I think we see this year Kyle Pitts be the Kyle Pitts of Florida Gators when he was running all those routes and just wearing guys out with touchdowns. I think having somebody like Marcus really limited what Kyle Pitts can really do. And I think this year you should see the real Kyle Pitts show up. That was that the reason why we drafted him in the draft as high as we did at number 4. He's going to come out this year because Desmond Ridder is going to make him come out this year and be a beast on that field with him and Drake London. And those scissor concepts, JR, you and I talked about this. That's something we didn't see last year. But I think you're
Right.
going to see those scissor concepts with those stack formations like you was talking about and really tearing a lot of cornerbacks up with those scissor concepts. I think that's going to really hurt people.
I think like you Jonathan, something you were alluding to earlier with talking about like I really geek out on like formation, formations that get rolled out there, and I think that we're finally going to get to see more of a 13 personnel um, than what we did last year. Like, because you saw a decent amount of 13 personnel, well, 12 personnel really in 21.
Yeah,
But I think you're going to get to see more like 13 personnel this year because of the versatility of Michael Pruitt, right?
yeah,
He can do some of the things that Hesse gave you, which is may have been the reason why he made the 53 over Hesse. And I think he offers you more catching ability, those seam routes
yeah,
that you were talking about. I think because one of the things that I saw vanilla wise, yes, but your 2x2, sometimes that 2x2 was, you know, Drake London and like Scotty Miller or Mac Hollins
yeah,
out wide. And then you had, Pruitt and Pitts, and you
yeah,
put them on the same side and like have Pitts running, an out and Pruitt running the seam or them doing a scissors and switching up,
yeah,
not just with Pruitt, but with Janu Smith, you know, his
yeah. Wow.
his speed and catching ability. Like, no, they didn't feature it well in New England, but there were times that even last year you saw that he still had it.
Yeah,
So he still got it. And so it's those things that gets me hyped. It's the yes, we only saw one drive from the starters,
right.
but they had huge chunks in that drive
Yep.
with those play action rollouts. You get everybody flowing, to the left, and then you boot Ritter out right, and he's got enough athletic ability that's actually dangerous.
Yep.
Uh, I mean, he was real close to like he got called back on a hold, but he was real close to running a touchdown in himself
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah.
So I think the fit is more akin to what Arthur Smith has been pushing towards.
Yeah. Like
You know,
I think once we get about midway into the season, this offense, barring any crazy penalties and things like that, but if everybody remains remotely healthy, your offensive line is mostly is as healthy as it can be. Uh, you know, I think by the middle of the season, we're going to see this look a lot like exactly what you said, the 2020 Titans.
yep,
I think you're going to see big plays, but they're not necessarily going to be like, we're just going to throw it 40, 50 yards down the field. It's going to be a lot of, we're going to throw it anywhere from 5 to 15 yards,
yep,
and guys are going to be open, running free. Now it's at that point, the onus is on Ritter to make sure he's getting them in good position, like hitting them in good position, so they can do something with it
Yeah.
after the catch. But you're going to see guys that are running free, where if Ritter can get him the ball, then you're going to get big chunk plays out of that kind of passing game. Not necessarily we're going to throw it 40, 50 yards down the field. You're going to have some of those, but I don't think, at least early on. Now, maybe later on, if he really gets into a rhythm and a better understanding and just gets better at throwing the deep ball, then maybe we start seeing more of it. But honestly, like the only guy that we really have that is like that kind of a burner, although, Drake London has burned some guys, N'Kobe Dean, or not N'Kobe Dean, Jamel Dean, in Tampa Bay, absolutely roasted him last year. Now, and Dean probably should have got called for a PI on that call.
yeah,
But like, so he can get on top of guys, like with like just his route running and his physicality and things like that. But he's not what you would consider a burner. The only real guy we have on the roster that's probably that is like a Scotty Miller type. And so
Right.
you'll see some things where some coverage breaks down because maybe London or Pitts has been dominating all day. So everybody's looking at those guys, and then all of a sudden Scotty Miller breaks through, and nobody's paying attention, and 40 yards later, he's got the ball in his hand running into the end zone. But I don't think that's going to be the majority of what we see in Atlanta.
You bring up, and I'll briefly derail this for a half a second. You bring up like deep passes, which I think are is something that I saw a coach tweet out. Like, fans love big arm, coaches love accuracy. And that's like the disparity between the fan and the
Yep.
fan's perspective and you know when I would it surprise anybody to tell you that in 2022 last season was the lowest amount of deep passes thrown by percentage wise by Patrick Mahomes and the vaunted Chiefs offense. They threw a career low 8.2% of their passes were deep passes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's because everybody went into the umbrella coverage,
Right, which is what the NFL is going to. They're going to that too high, drop 8. Don't want to get beat over the top kind of deal. So I think people get infatuated with deep shots and you got to be able to hit the bombs. You don't have to be able to hit the bombs. Like if you saw it, like I said, I referenced that one drive, which is all we've seen so far from the starters. But in that one drive, you had Drake running free. You had Kyle Pitts running free. You definitely had Mac Hollins running free. And then had they not thrown the challenge flag, Bijan was going to take a dump off and walk into the end zone.
Yeah.
Because of the play design took everybody everywhere else. Ridder was able to escape back, and there wasn't nobody that was going to stop him. The only thing that stopped him was that challenge flag.
And I'm gonna tell you, if I'm not mistaken, that same swing pass that Bijan caught before they called the flag, Mike Davis ran that in against the Washington Commanders in 2021. Matt Ryan hit him on that swing route out to the left, and he went into the touchdown scot free when nobody really touched him. He got in there. And so you're seeing similar plays that are going to come out that Matt Ryan did, similar stuff that Marcus did, that's still going to be part of the offense. But I just truly believe that these running backs are going to be a huge key to Desmond Ridder's success.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I'm not surprised about Patrick Mahomes because you and I talked about this, JR, about the rankings of the different routes that were ran over the past few years. And guess what? The deep pass was the last ranked pass on the chart.
Yep.
It was screen passes that was up there as I think number one. So you'll see a lot more receiver screens that I believe Desmond's going to be able to hit a whole lot better than what Marcus Mariota did. Marcus was just terrible with the simple screen wide receiver passes. But I think this year you're going to see that better executed with guys like Drake London. I mean, you get him and Mac Hollins going up the field on a screen, a wide receiver screen. Nobody's going to want to tackle that when they get full speed.
And also, like you have, Kyle Pitts on the tight end tunnel screens,
right?
Him and Janu. So I mean, you may not have outside of Scotty Miller, you may not have deep speed, but I think what you have is like short area quickness,
right?
And explosive speed to where guys like Janu Smith and Kyle Pitts, can take a 5-yard dump off type pass, and because of their short area quickness, can be 15 yards downfield before anybody catches them. To like I harken back to the first week of preseason when everybody was like not losing their minds, but when the Twitterverse exploded over the Justin Fields game,
Yeah.
3 passes, 3 touchdowns, or whatever it was. Those passes were dump offs.
Yeah.
And those guys, it was blocked well. Those guys caught it and, ran the 40 some odd yards, which is
they matriculated it down the field.
That's right. And that's to me, that's like go back and watch that first drive. They almost ate up the entire first quarter or a good chunk of the first quarter in that one drive. And, so that's the game plan. And I think that fits Ridder very well because of, what he was good at in college. For all you folks who maybe, I think it's Monday or Sunday when LSU plays Florida State. Can't remember now. But anyway, if y'all get hyped over that offense, LSU offense, okay, that's the same guy who coached Ridder. That's his offensive coordinator. And in that offensive scheme, they play action pass, RPOs, those kind of
Yeah.
things, and that's what uh, Dave Regrone like brought that RPO game with him, from the time with Trubisky up there in Chicago. Same deal
Yeah.
with Mariota and Arthur Smith. So I think you're going to see a good bit of RPOs, a good bit of play action, and then obviously you're going to see outside zone, inside zone, duo blocking. Like this run game is going to be a master class to me just about every week if you're a blocking nerd. So
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
who would be a blocking nerd?
I don't know. Maybe
uh,
this guy. I don't know.
That
yeah.
guy right there.
Right.
Well,
So
I know they did it the diamond looks. They did not want to show a lot of that in the
yeah,
preseason. Not even with Taylor Heineke. Not even with Logan Woodside. They did not want to show a lot of those. But y'all best believe those diamond looks are coming back strong. And they're gonna be powerful when you got guys like Bijan Robinson and Cordell Patterson or Tyler Algier and Cordell Patterson or any one of those running backs on the field at the same time with a tight end in those diamond looks as well. So that's going to be them diamond looks are going to be deadly in my opinion. I
I,
can't wait to see them.
I think the two things that we didn't see deployed much in preseason that I'm interested in seeing in regular season is the usage of the diamond formation because I
Yeah.
don't think they're going to go away from that,
Mm-mm.
and the five wide offense.
Yeah.
The empty set.
Yeah.
I think because like the ability to come out in a diamond formation, a condensed formation, uh, and force more of a heavy defensive package on the field, and then being able to take that same look the next play and spread it out to an empty backfield
Yeah.
with guys like Cordell and Bijan. Now it's not just window dressing.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
the running back being way out wide, not actually going to get the ball. No, you could put both, Bijan and Cordell in the slot and have the
Yeah.
full route tree open
Yep.
and make some hay.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what I was like alluding to with the you essentially have one personnel. Granted, I'm sure guys will get in and out because of need to catch their breath or whatever. But like you could conceivably have a single personnel grouping with Cordero and Bijan or Bijan and Tyler or whatever. Uh, that goes through the entire drive, and they can equally go into like heavy run sets, then spread it back out into five wide or four
Mm-hmm.
wide or trips left, or there's all kinds of different things you can do with that particular type of personnel grouping. You could even have Cordero in the backfield and Bijan out wide, and now everybody's like, "What is going on here?"
Oh yeah,
And it's just like I'm the ability to potentially set up some really great mismatches for some of our players is and some of our weapons is going to be then the onus then if we can get to that point the onus then becomes can Ritter identify it
right.
quick
Can
Yeah.
enough
he
to
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
advantage
That's the
of it.
question. Yeah.
can he
That's the question.
be can he be that point guard?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can he be that ball distributor?
Yeah.
Because you have spent each of the past three drafts, you have gotten a high end skill position
Yeah.
Right.
in Pitts, London, and Bijan. So now can Ritter be the GPS?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Can Ritter be the electrical system that allows that horsepower to fire off?
Yeah.
And because that's all he really needs to be. Like he
Yeah.
doesn't need like you don't need to be Mahomes when you have great talent around you.
Right.
Right. Yeah, and that's so many people worry too much about the quarterback has to be great in order
Yeah.
to win. The quarterback doesn't have to be great. Okay, the
Yeah.
quarterback just has to make good decisions.
Right. They have to be
Right.
Um,
Right.
a good
they have to be
decision maker.
smart about it, and so being smart is not always, or being great. By the way, is not always the ability to throw a 40, 50, 60-yard bomb. The ability to be great is you look at especially like early era Tom Brady, even later era Tom Brady. Early era and late era kind of in the same boat, but early era especially, he did not have a good deep ball early in his career. Okay. Didn't even really have the receivers to do that kind of stuff. What he had though was he had really good anticipation. He
Yeah.
had really good touch on the ball, and he was really accurate,
Yeah.
right? And so, they would dink and dunk you down the field all day long, and
It was
you
death
know,
by a thousand cuts.
exactly. And the Wes Welker era of
Right.
Tom Brady was the same thing. It was like, I'm just gonna my little shifty white dude is gonna go out there, beat your guy, and then he's gonna catch it for 5 yards and then run it for like another 5 or 10.
Yeah.
And we're just going,
And we're just gonna
Yeah.
keep doing that over and over again all the way down the
or I'm gonna
field
dump it
until,
off to James White out the backfield when
because
everybody
nobody's
else
paying
is, because
attention.
nobody's paying attention to him.
Right.
Nobody's
And
paying attention to James White because they're
that's
so
the
worried
thing.
about Welker or Amendola or whoever else is out there, right?
Yep. And that's the thing is the reason why nowadays, like it'll be interesting because the reason why nowadays quarterbacks have to be great and have to elevate is because they take up so much of the cap.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting if Ridder, plays well and then can do the early years Brady deal where, hey, I'm not going to soak up as much of the cap so that we can keep the rest of the team going. So it'll
Yeah.
be interesting to see how that goes. But as far as like, I think the identity is going to be finally what Arthur Smith wants, which is pushing more towards a balanced offense, an
Right.
offense that can use all of its parts and isn't necessarily limited in any facet, really. Toby, is there any like final thoughts you got on that?
My two biggest things is for Desmond Ridder is kind of like what Jonathan was saying is, will he be able to recognize what he's seeing a second or third time around should he see it again?
Mhm.
Will he be able to exploit the matchups that he sees quicker? Being able to process and dissect what he's seeing on the field. How long is that going to take for him to be able to exploit matchups that he sees based on what his guys are doing and within the schemes is what I'm curious to see how that's going to play out. If that goes is the way that I'm thinking it's going, guys, this offense is going to eat up a lot of people, and he, like you said, Jonathan, he's not going to have to depend on throwing 40 or 50-yard bombs down the field. Yeah, of course they will do that at times to try to keep the defenses honest because you're going to have to every now and then put it in the defense's mind, and he has the arm to do it to let them know, hey, don't sit on these routes because we're going to throw the ball deep if you're going to play up that close on these routes and trying to cut off these short to intermediate routes that we're throwing. So we're going to have to do it sometime, but I don't think you're going to have to be relied upon as far as Desmond Ridder goes to be throwing the ball down the field all the time. You got guys that's going to be able to take that ball. You throw it to them 5 yards, and they're going to take it another 20 yards before they get hit, or they could possibly take it all the way to the house, which we got guys that are capable of doing that once they get out into the open field. And they're not all guys you're going to want to tackle either.
That's it.
Yep.
I agree. What's your final thoughts on it, John?
I'm just excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the offense. I'm excited to see it get out of preseason vanillaware offense. I want to see it. I want to see the actual full. I want the full Monty.
That's
You
it.
know,
Yes, sir.
and
Nope.
I'm looking forward to that to see if it matches what's going on inside my head when I think about it.
Yeah, I want to see if it can match the potential, and because I
Yep.
think the potential's there. Folks, man, I appreciate y'all joining us tonight. We will be back live on Tuesday to really like go deep into this Panthers game, talking about, you know, the matchups, the what might concern us, you know, that kind of deal. Get y'all's thoughts on the Panthers game. So yeah, we're getting into the full season swing now. So
Yes, sir.
yeah, I'm excited for it. We're gonna do
Yeah.
another one of these type deals next week for the defense. Highlighting what we think how all this is going to fit together, and what it might look like. So keep your eyes peeled for both of those. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Grimm1128, GRIMM1128. Jonathan,
At Jonathan M. Holder, come by, say hi.
Toby.
Toby D 1991. Go Dogs.
Oh, there it is. Going on. The three-peat starts this weekend with dominant, formidable foe UT Martin.
Yeah. Whoever that is.
Whoever that is, right? All right, folks. Y'all take care. We appreciate y'all. And as always, Falcons fans, rise up.
Rise up.
Rise up.